Hello gang, good to have you all back again. Of course, you're tuning in for the first time. I am the Articulate Grunt. Welcome to my channel. I hope this video finds you well, as I've been sick as the proverbial dog for the last several days. I have a grade schooler, so, I've got ready exposure to the perfect petri dish of local flus and colds. It's been wonderful. So, apologies if I sound a little off. I was talking with a new friend of mine, who, like myself, is a bit of a lifelong gamer, and she had no idea what Palladium Books was. And to me, that was a bit surprising. It made me think, how many others don't know, even if they may have played or been exposed to some of the games, what Palladium Books is. So, that's what I'm bringing you today. Palladium Books is one of the old school, one of the oldest running gaming companies, RPG styles, that are in existence in the world. They started in 1981 with the Mechanoid Invasion, selling for a little less than $4. It was a basic paperback copy of their first game, their first ideas. Now, that did fairly well. In 1983, they really got rolling. First out the door was Palladium. This, of course, is a new updated version. It was their competitor, their piece to compete with D&D. It is fantasy role-playing at its best. Now, many of us, old and young alike, know what Robotech and Macross is. Also in 1983, they produced the role-playing game, got the license and everything for it, and produced the role-playing game for Robotech. Also in 1983 was the first printing, the first edition of the big boy of their gaming line, and that is Rifts. Rifts, to give you the basics of it, has about 100 supporting books that have come out over the years, and is in a post-apocalyptic Earth. Humanity reached heights of science and technology, of development in both genetics and robotics, the whole nine yards, only to once again go to war and destroy ourselves per se. Rift takes place about 300-ish years later, where humanity's been fighting and clawing to survive on our world, on our Earth, not only against the elements, against the collapse of society, but with massive death, releasing energy into the world, brought back magic and brought back the rifts, magical doorways, tears in space and time, opening the Earth not just to history, but to other worlds, dimensions, other Earths, other universes, places in time and space, thus bringing demons, dragons, everything of mythology back to Earth, as well as all sorts of DBs, dimensional beings, other races from other planets, spaces, and places. It's been by far the most popular series in their repertoire of gaming books and manuals. Now, in 1984, for those who are really into the superheroes, the Marvel, the DC type thing, came Heroes Unlimited. Heroes Unlimited is Rift's world of the superheroes, of superpowered beings, both heroes and villains, and has a good dozen plus books supporting it. That same year came out Ninjas and Super Spies. These two work beautifully together. You can actually incorporate the two Earths together, though you don't have to. Ninjas and Super Spies is just that. The various super spy agencies, James Bond type stuff, from all the different countries of the world competing with each other, plus competing and fighting against crime syndicates, guilds of ninjas, and all the associated spy movie type fun and entertainment stuff that goes with that. Also that year, though, brand new upon the scene, only in its fourth comic book, still in black and white, Palladium Books was given the rights and titles and produced TMNT, the role-playing game for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This was not the favored by 8 to 10-year-old fun-loving pizza hounds that we know in the cartoons and movies today. This was down and gritty. They were ninja assassins. They fought and killed members of the Foot Clan, had all sorts of adventures all over Earth and even out in space. And as you can see, if you look close to the cover I've got pictured here, they didn't even have their characteristic different colored bandanas at the time. They just all wore the red bandana. I'd show you copies of my own, but it got stolen several years ago, and I've yet to replace the series in my collection. 1985 brought us back to the Mechanoids again. First little book, The Mechanoid Invasion, came out, expanded, of course, into a proper full role-playing game. Basically, humanity, if you will, trying to survive in interstellar space against an invasion of psychotic cyborgs, trying to decimate and genocidally purge the universe of the curse, if you will, of anything basically human in body, shape, and form. Originally expanding on TMNT and their game universe, their line of books, their Earth. Also in 85 brought us After the Bomb. Once again, post-apocalyptic. The humans of Earth had reached wonderful scientific levels of evolution and development, only to destroy ourselves once again. But humanity barely clinged on, small enclaves, societies, new city-states revolving, but the vast majority of the Earth had been taken over by mutant animals, which were foraging and forming their own communities and societies. And pretty much you could play as just about anything. 87 brought us another new title, the first and only that I know of deviation from the standard character creation used by Palladiums for Advanced Recon. Yes, basically a down and dirty, throw together some quick characters, get out and conduct advanced reconnaissance combat in the Vietnam War. One book, not a lot of supporting materials, but does take advantage of one of the pros I'll cover near the end of the video. Big pro to the entire game series. 87 also brought us Beyond Supernatural. If you love sci-fi horror conspiracy games, basically in Beyond Supernatural, psychics exist, supernatural monsters exist, but the government and authorities ignore and deny any existence or recognition that they're there. You can play on a number of different roles. Pretty much anything your imagination can come up with. But standardly as investigators or people fighting back against the supernatural horrors. 1993 brought us Wormwood, the first of the dimensional books. There's over a dozen of them, and basically what they are a series of books exposing us to other dimensions, bonus dimensions, little places in time and space. If you can imagine, alternate dimensions. Completely devoid. Sometimes the very laws of nature don't even apply. And the biggest advantage is the dimension books, a lot of them cover the tri-galaxies. If you can imagine 3 more or less slightly different sized Milky Ways floating in space, swirling around and near each other, with all the spacefaring intergalactic nations and agencies, their interactions, and all the adventure possibilities you've got that could go along with that. 1995 brought us Nightbane. Nightbane is another fantasy horror where basically you've got horrible inhuman monstrosities that have infiltrated human society, taking over sections of the government, and of course they're denied by the government in any way, shape, or form. Normally in the game you'd be playing Nightbane yourself, but one of a good line, a human, who thought you were human, who wakes up to your Nightbane abilities and decides to fight back against the evil, against the encroaching darkness, looking to enslave and consume humanity. 1998 brought us the introduction of the Rifter magazine. 68 issues have been published so far, and it is an invaluable source on alternate character types, abilities, materials, spanning all through the Palladium books genre. In 1999 came a fun book of system failure. System failure, if you remember 1999, the Y2K scare, is exactly that, except Y2K actually having taken place. The electrical grid, all the technology across Earth crashes. Society goes into a bit of chaos. There are food riots and all the craziness expected to have happened back in 99 with the Y2K. Except that, you see the Buggle guy? They're alien insects that waited for our society to crash, for everything to fall apart, to invade. They used a rift, a dimensional door, to invade Earth. Except they kept a low profile because they've got the capability, one, to use electric shock bolt type power to knock out electronics, contributing to the Y2K failure. They can also dissolve their body into electricity and go into an electrical circuit system, go into the power lines, the phone lines, whatever, to rematerialize somewhere else. They can also, in the case of military vehicles, usually their preferred resource, meld with it and take it over, operating it as their body. So just as we started to get the power grids and everything back up and online, the insects started to take over, causing the further collapse of society, a collapse of governments, and setting up safe zones around the major cities, walling them in, basically as big ghetto concentration camps, bringing the people in together and using gases to keep us numb and happy so we do work for them, keeping the power grid open, because our electricity is like a T-bone steak, 3-course meal for them. It's a never-ending buffet, and they love it. But to keep that going, they also have little brain worms, fortunately in limited numbers, that they implant in government leaders and engineers to keep the electrical grid going. Probably needless to say, the most common character type in that game is a resistance fighter fighting back against the bugs, trying to save people as of yet uninfected by the brain bugs. In 2003, brought us Rift's Chaos Earth. I mentioned earlier with Rifts that, we hit our great heights of technology and science, and then fell apart, went into an apocalyptic fall of humanity, which, by the way, with the re-emergence of magic, also brought Atlantis back. It's a subcontinent in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Well, in Rift's Chaos Earth, rather than being 300 years later, you normally play as some sort of hero fighting back against the descending chaos, the demons coming through dimensional gates, dimensional beings coming through to conquer the planet as their own. You play as what usually is one of Earth's great defenders. Sometimes as someone who, maybe had some precog, deja vu, thought we were here before, or, a palm reader who now has fully manifest psionic abilities. Or, maybe as a goth kid who, loved reading up on, the dark magic spells and such, except now they work. And you're lending your newfound talents or your specialized military training into the defense and attempted preservation of humanity as a whole. 2004 brought us splicers. Personally, I would have thought something like this would have come out years and years prior, but 2004 brought us the splicers, where basically, once again, humanity has reached amazing heights of technology, and we created a one-world computer to run everything for us so we could relax, so we could enjoy the great spoils of what we had created. And in the final install, the final update of the program, so many conflicting programs had been put in that basically, with conflicts between industry and between green technologies and preservation of natural resources and everything, the computer determined that the greatest plague to the Earth itself was humanity, its own creator, and more or less set out to purge us. So in effect, you've got a Terminator-style apocalyptic world, where the machines have decimated the vast majority of humanity, and have even released a nanoplague, where picking up a fork or a spoon will cause it to mutate and shift and change, impaling your own body, so we can't even use metal. Humanity, however, always finds a way to resist. So, can't use technology, we develop and use genetic bioenhancements, biosuits, bioweapons, and bring forth the splicers, human elite troops defending humanity who splice their genetic code, who splice various genetic codes into the weapons, suits, and defenses of those who can't defend themselves. 2008 brought us Dead Rain, Palladium's entry into the zombie apocalypse scene. Dead Rain is just that, a virus spread and people died in mass. Their bodies, as in standard zombie apocalypse, choking all the hospitals and everything, and then after a few days, the bodies rising back up and slaughtering the living. There's a half dozen books supporting and expanding on it, and it's a lot of fun, a well done, well supported zombie apocalypse game, if that's what you're into. Now, for several years, there were more books supporting all the previous titles and everything, until finally in 2014, we actually received Robotech RPG Tactics, Palladium's first serious entry into tabletop wargaming, with miniatures and a system for using them to rival and compete with the other gaming companies in tabletop war games, bringing back one of the all-time favorites, still a very popular series of animes and movies all over the world today, Robotech, but as I've kind of overstated, to the tabletop. Now, to wrap up, some of the big things I personally consider pros and cons to the system. For one thing, Palladium is still owned and operated by the original founding gamers. Thus, there's a continuous continuity, maintaining quality and checks between the books so you don't get conflicting storylines, backstories, and support from book to book over the years. Also, conversion books. Along with the 280 plus books that have come out over the life of the company supporting the various game genres, they've done conversion books because they have maintained the same original basic character creation method as in their first book through the entire series. And with their conversion books, you can literally travel via magical rifts and a variety of different methods from game genre to game genre. Your Robotech pilot from the original games 30 years ago can be shot down, falling into a blinding blue light, and wind up in rifts. Learn how to operate bigger, better bots, power armors, different things. Going with a ley line walker he's made friends with, he can travel to other dimensions. Other things can wind up in Dead Rain, saving survivors from a zombie horde. Can wind up fleeing there, traveling to After the Bomb, interacting with some of the rising animal nations who are amazed by the technology you've brought with you. You can go anywhere. And in effect, play and do almost anything. If you can imagine it, it's probably been covered. In addition to, and along with that, keeping the same character generation, they've never fallen prey to what a lot of companies did with the new edition. Here's second edition, the third edition. All your old stuff is out of date. It's useless. Rebuy everything in the new edition with the new rules and give us more money. No. If you've got a first edition from 1985 of Robotech, it still interacts with the newest Riffs and Macross game book that just came out a couple of years ago, or the new one coming out this year. The same character will cross over and can still interact, can still be used. You don't have to learn whole new systems every time a new edition comes out because it gets revised, but there's no new edition that wipes out everything that was done previously. I find it fabulous. I've got books dating back to 1985 that interact beautifully with the brand new books I just picked up this year. And they have tried to cover everything they can, along with all the expansions into different dimensions, different books on relevant Earths, alternate Earths, and everything. They've got expansions for space, for weapons compendiums, monstrous compendiums, spell and species compilations. So while things may have come out in 14, 15 different books, oh, the new evolution to that spell, the higher level version came out in this book over here. Well, if you've got the Book of Magic, you've got them all compiled together in one source. And they've come out over the years with, apparel and other accoutrements, coffee mugs and things to, show off your gaming geekdom. Now, I did say cons. There are a couple. Some would consider minor, some would consider major things. The game system does take a little bit of brains on someone's part, whether it be the game master or one of the players, to get going, mostly because of the character creation system. Except for Recon, which is a down and dirty, quick type, characters die left and right type game, which characters can do anywhere in the Palladium universe. You can die that fast or go on for dozens of levels, new career options and new skills and learned in different dimensions. The initial character creation, getting familiar with it, can take a little bit of brains. It's got a lot of involvement to it. But if you've got a player or a game master who's got familiarity with the system like myself, I can knock out a character in 5 minutes. Whatever type character you want to play. Pretty much whatever dimension, whichever realm in the game. Of course, it's been one of my favorite game lines for about 30 years. The other part, 280 plus books. If you want everything from start to finish, it'll cost you a bit. But getting started, getting involved, that can be as simple as picking one of the genres, one of the books I showed you, and just pick up the one book. That's probably one of the best pros to the entire game system. The owners, the writers, are gamers. And that whole thing of, oh, here's the main game book. Oh, but you're going to need the player manual, and you're going to need the monster manual, and you're going to need the equipment manual. No. If you want to get started, all you need is the basic intro book for any of the game lines. And it's a one-book complete playing set, and you can just go from there. If you want expansions, you want other books, you can pick them up at your leisure. If you don't, you got one book, that's all you need. You can play the game. Now, if you want to take a closer look for yourself, if this sounds like something that might interest you or your gaming group, I've included Palladium's online link down below. You can go take a look at the materials and books they've got available right now. See for yourself. Take care. I hope this found you well. Remember, get up, get out, get involved. Nobody can stop you from being your best but you. Others can create speed bumps, but nobody can truly stop you but you. Along with that, get out and have some fun, gang. Life is too short. Get out there and enjoy some of it. Take care. I am the Articulate Grunt. Remember, leave me your thoughts and comments down below. Hit the like or dislike, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you next time. Till then, out from here.